Democratic lawmakers unveiled a new voting rights bill at the state capitol today, and the state election board spoke out about the recent FBI raid at the Fulton County Elections office. Fox 5's Deidre Dukes is live at the state capitol with the latest. Deidre?
That's right. Voter rights and the 2020 election took center stage today as both state lawmakers and the state election board focused on voter integrity.
This is a criminal investigation.
Weeks after the FBI raid on the Fulton County election hub.
Because today, here in Fulton County, our votes are in the custody of the federal government.
Georgia Democrats are on the defensive.
I think there is a move to interfere with our elections in the state of Georgia, and this is just a step in that direction.
State lawmakers introduced a major elections bill Thursday. They insist voter rights are under attack at the federal level and say states must pass legislation to protect fair access for all voters.
There's a lot of instability. There's a lot of not knowing whether the state election board or the legislature are going to completely change our voting system from one year to the next.
They say the legislation would prohibit voter suppression, obstruction, and discrimination, and expand language access. It would also increase election transparency and give voters the power to challenge alleged discrimination in court.
A do-si-do dance was performed by lawyers in Fulton County to avoid access to the election documents and ballots.
As Democrats unveiled elections legislation at the state capitol, miles away in Winder, Trump-aligned members of the state election board went on record for the first time since federal agents seized hundreds of boxes of documents as part of an investigation into Fulton County's 2020 election.
And we're certainly not here because of some power trip to target Fulton County. We're here because our election has been in question for a long time. Well before 2020.
The January raid followed failed efforts by the state election board and DOJ to force Fulton County officials to turn over voter records.
We are not the bad guys. Those who break their oaths are.
Now, also today, the state election board voted to send Fulton County officials a letter ordering them not to destroy any of those seized documents once they're returned to the county by the FBI. At the state capitol, Deidre Dukes, Fox 5 News.
Deidre, thanks.